Bonding with fillets is a fantastic method of building in plywood. It's almost fundamental to any type of plywood design that's out there, particularly lap strake boats where a fillet bonds another panel to another panel and then bulkheads to the skin of the hull. And it's done by creating a cove in between two joining panels. What I'd like to do is illustrate on this small scrap of plywood how you go about doing that. Now, if you look at all of our other videos, you'll see that we mentioned two-step bonding as best practice. This also applies for fillets. Two-step bonding provides the most robust bond between the fillet and the plywood and consequently the two adjoining panels. Now we do that again by using our resin and hardener mix, a little glue brush, a mixing pot and one of our fantastic little plastic reusable mixing sticks. I'm going to wear some nitrile gloves which give me really good skin protection from the resin hardener mix, and of course I'm going to use some good eye protection with my specs here. So I'm going to, for this short piece of work, I'm just going to use one pump of resin and one pump of hardener. You can see I've got the pumps already installed in the containers, and you can see that the pumps themselves have got different strokes on them. So one pump of resin, one pump of hardener will give me the exact 5:1 ratio that I need. Now I'm going to spend 2 minutes blending the resin and hardener together. And you can see I'm using a mixing pot that has straight sides and no rebate in the bottom, so there's no chance for a residue of unactivated resin hardener mix in the bottom of the plastic pot. A really good check on your work after you've finished and the next day is to roll the pot, break out the waste cured material and see if you have a residue of unactivated product in the corners of the pot. If you have, you're simply not mixing enough. So I've now spent 2 minutes mixing my resin and hardener. Put my mixing stick to one side, then use one of these nice little convenient glue brushes to prime the area that I'm going to fillet. And you can see hopefully that the plywood is just changing colour very slightly. It is a good indication that your resin hardener mix is wicking in to the surface wood fibres. Quite incidentally, I've just made this up by gluing it with our 5-minute epoxy. That's a really good means of tacking panels together. More details on that are available on our website. That's it. That's the first part of my two-step bonding process for bonding with fillets. I'm going to set this aside now for about 18 to 20 minutes for the epoxy to really wick into the surface wood fibres. Then I'm going to return to this and I'm going to show you how to do really, really neat fillets first time. I've returned to this after about 18 to 20 minutes and you can see now that the resin hardener mix has wicked into the surface wood fibres. This is the perfect point upon which I need to get my fillet in place here. So I'm going to make a mix-up that's suitable for filleting. Now, for small dinghies, it's quite feasible to use our low density filler. That creates nice lightweight fillets, desirable for a small racing dinghy perhaps. We do have another filler which is called a filleting blend. That's a higher density filler. So that would be used on much bigger structures. But for this purpose, all I want to really illustrate is the technique of filleting. And I'm going to do that by metering out another single pump of resin and another single pump of hardener. And then I'm going to blend the two together. Now I've mixed these for 2 minutes. I'm now going to add my low density filler. And quite conveniently, within the tube of filler is a small scoop. To achieve a peanut butter consistency, which is what we want our fillet to be really stable when it's shaped. We don't want it to slump in any way, because it then creates a nice load path for any loading that's going through it. We don't want it to slump down and be asymmetrical. So we want a nice, sturdy, thick mix. Now we refer to the viscosity of that mix as a peanut butter consistency. And to achieve that with the low density filler, we add, surprisingly, 2 fairly heaped scoops of the filler. Now you look at this inside and you think maybe this will be quite difficult to blend the two together, but you just need to persevere in mixing this, and eventually you get a mix that is kind of like a peanut butter consistency. And you can see that the telltale to how thick it is, will it stay on your mixing stick without slumping? That's the most important thing to look for, making sure that you've added enough filler for the fillet not to slump. Now, I could of course just slap this in place and tidy it up afterwards, but what I wanted to illustrate here was best practice for doing this very, very easily and very, very professionally. And the way to do that is just simply to take a plastic bag, a nice sturdy plastic bag, and roll it up into a cone like this. Get your filler on your mixing stick, place it right inside the bag, right at the very corner of the bag, draw the mixing stick away, and then twist up the bag, pushing all the filler to the very end of it. And then, with a pair of scissors, snipping the corner off the bag. And now we have great control as to the amount of filler that we apply here. And you can see it's so easy to pipe this in place. And now, with a clean mixing stick, we can use the radius end of the mixing stick to draw our fillet, holding the mixing stick to bisect the angle of my work and holding it perpendicular to the surface. So we now just draw this up. Making sure that we've forced the thickened mix into the angle. And then, to clean up each edge of where my mixing stick has been, we can use the chisel point of the mixing stick. And we do that simply by drawing it up either side of the fillet and cleaning up the work. Now, if you want to produce clean, effective fillets, this is the really simple way to do things. Simple plastic bag and piping in the filled mix, just like icing a cake. This will produce really, really good, gratifying results time after time. And these fillets are part of the aesthetic of a modern plywood dinghy. It's important for them to look good. And this method will always make them look good.